everybody, and welcome to TableTakes. Today is February. What? Are we in February? Yes.
Yes.
No. Yes. February 19th. I know what day it is. And here at TableTakes, you know what we do? We take our cats home, all drugged up, right, Derek?
Yeah, we took our cat to the vet yesterday, and this is the cat who is angry at everything, hates all life, existence is only pain and suffering, and she hates travel. So she went to the vet, and apparently she was so spicy that they had to mildly sedate her. So she came back very drunk, very high, with little poop nuggets just like stuck to her butt hair that we had to snip off for her. And then she just kind of spent the day like standing over her food dish like this. But she seems mostly recovered now. She's still a little out of it, but she's at least yelling at the other cat, so she's getting back into the swing of things.
Oh, at least she's got their hatred is her motivation to get better. So
oh yes.
Oh yeah. The motivation, the fire.
That is a cat that operates on spite.
Spite. You know what's the opposite of spite? Coziness. Right, Emma? Do you know about all the cozy things in life?
Yeah. I try and surround myself and live cozy and cute as my motto. I haven't really talked about this before because I've kind of been keeping on the down low, but I've been working on a little zine type thing that may or may not make it out for this zine quest. It's about tea and storytelling, a little in the vibe of something, some of my inspirations for this, Avery Alder and Jian Shim with their journaling storytelling games. So that's what I'm going for. Going to be showing it to some people today. So hopefully that's what it ends up being. And if it comes together in time, it'll be part of Zine Quest. But
so you're hoping to kind of put it out in the next 2 weeks up on Kickstarter?
Yes.
That's exciting.
So you're definitely going to be a first exclusive here at Gen Con.
I was about to say, are you available possibly to maybe do some sort of interview or preview at some point, maybe?
Yes. Maybe. I'm building the plane as I fall down. It all very much like I've been trying to game design wise get my motivation going for a while, so I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but so far things are going pretty good. So if it all comes together, then it will, but if not, no big deal. But I'm putting it out there because if I tell enough people about it, then they'll yell at me if I don't do it. So that's good motivation.
Okay, so we got to slide into your DMs and yell at you every day. So hey, did you put your zine on? And then on other related news, happy 1 year, Isabella.
That's right. 1 year ago today, I entered quarantine thinking, how long could it last? A month? 3 weeks? I don't know. That was 12 months ago to the day that I entered in quarantine, and here we are with no end in sight. So
to celebrate, did you quarantine yourself to a smaller portion of your apartment for the next 12 months?
I did. I quarantined myself to specifically my Nintendo Switch. And we've been having a great time. I also got, shameless plug, some Girl Scout cookies. It's Girl Scout cookies season, you guys, and I'm celebrating with the best Girl Scout cookie. This is not up for debate, but the best Girl Scout cookie of all time is the Do-si-do. It's true. Fight amongst yourselves.
Thin mitts are where it's at.
I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this discourse. Okay. So in celebration of my 1 year quarantine anniversary, and also the fact that it's Girl Scout cookie season, there's a couple of Girl Scout troops across America that could really use some additional help. So I believe that we're going to put those links into the chat, but there's 3 Girl Scout troops that I think are really worth your time, and some of them have not met their goals for the boxes that they need to sell for this year. We have one troop from, I should probably say the names. There's troop 168198, which is a troop of girls who were devastated from the hurricane in Puerto Rico that happened last year. And they are looking for more help to kind of help them with their recovery, and some of them have lost housing and things like that, and so they really need help reaching their goal. There is the troop 9626, which is there is one girl who is the Girl Scout of the Hopi Nation in Arizona, and she is the only girl in her Girl Scout troop. And I am in love with her story. She wants to raise some money so that she can travel and meet other girls from other Native American tribes so that she can meet other Girl Scouts and do more Native American Girl Scout culture, which is really, really adorable. And then the last group that I really want to shout out is Troop 3559, and they are the troop from the Navajo Nation. And they are also trying to meet their goal for Girl Scout cookies for this year. And yeah, there's also one more, if you're interested, Troop 6000, which is from New York City. This is a troop made up of houseless children. All these girls, they are part of the homeless shelter system in New York. They have reached their goal. They have reached far beyond their goal. They got a social media shout out by a couple of big brands, big companies, but you can still support them. And I would still encourage that you bookmark Troop 6000 and all of these troops so that next year you can continually buy Girl Scout troops. And see, the thing that's cool is you can order them online, you can do some donations, and then they just send them right to you. So you can have Girl Scout cookies and also support your local Girl Scout troop, because Girl Scouts are all over America and they need your help, except for the girls that live over in my neighborhood because they're super rich. I've looked into them. They're fine. They're fine. but yeah, support all these Girl Scouts and get Do-si-dos, the best Girl Scout cookie. Fight with your mom. Fight amongst yourselves. Okay, I don't have time for this.
All right. I don't really have much to tell. I've been sleeping and going to sleep a lot just because I've been down with the sickness. Yeah, you know the song. Anywho, but before we move on, hey, shout outs to two people in chat that it's their birthday, Sparky Pugwash and Brandon's mom. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Level up. So let's go ahead and dive right into that news. Emma, give us the details on Magic Secret Lair.
Secret Lair, more exciting Secret Lair news. Once again, Secret Lair is reprints of card, alternate art of card. If you love Magic, these cards are amazing. And this one in particular, I'm very excited to talk about because this is the Black is Magic Secret Lair Drop. Wizards of the Coast announced they will be celebrating Black History Month with Secret Lair Black is Magic. This one's going on for a while too, so it hasn't started yet, but bookmark it February 22nd through March 31st. The decks will be available to pre-order. Each card was designed by different Black artists in their own unique style, which is double awesome because they all feature amazing Black characters, which is great, but doubly great to have Black artists creating this. We have Chalet, Voice of Plenty, which is my favorite of this set. Badass Angel, super cool. Ponder, Cultivate, Kaya, Ghost Assassin, also super cool. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I love some of this Teferi art where they show Teferi's family as well, because not only is art amazing, but I see it and I tear up a little because it's like, oh, family together. Soul Ring, which is a perennial card, so you can get some alternate art for that. And then Path of Ancestry. The foil price is $49.99 and non-foil is $39.99. As if that was not good enough, the proceeds will go to the design, digital art, and game development programs of Black Girls Code. Black Girls Code is amazing. Their goal is to increase the number of women of color in the digital space by empowering girls of color ages 7 to 17 to become innovators in STEM. And leaders to provide African-American youth with the skills to occupy some of the 1.4 million computing job openings expected to be available in the US by 2020. So, I mean, just get this set. Even if you don't play Magic, get the cards, frame them, put them up on your wall. They look amazing. They support...
That Ghost Assassin is really cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kaya is just like, chef's kiss.
And so, you guys know you want the foil.
Get the shinies.
The shinies.
I mean, I play Magic, I realize, but I have definitely gotten Secret Lair cards before just to use as art. You can get the little plastic cases that screw shut to keep them double protected. Just put them up around your house. It's a great nerd art thing to do. So yeah, definitely check that out for when it releases in a few days.
All right. On more magic related news, Strixhaven Colleges of Magic have been revealed. Some people say that this is kind of like a little bit soon because Valhelm just released, and so they're just dropping more and more. But remember our timeline before that Magic was just like, we're ready to go pap, 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 pap. And so they're following through on their thing. So let's go ahead and talk briefly about the 5 colleges of magic. Lorehole, which is the white and red, leave no stone unturned. Diligent researchers and daring adventurers, basically the book nerds. And then we have, of course, Prasmari, red and blue, express yourself with elements, which is the theater kids. And then we got Quandrix, green and blue, which math is magic, ingenious math magicians, which is the math nerds. And then we got Silver Quill, which is the white and blacks, which is sharp style, sharp wit, wield the magic of words, from inspiring battle poetry and biting arcane insults, which is basically the liberal arts people. The people who went to liberal arts with the writing emphasis on poetry writing. Weatherbloom, black and green, get your hands dirty. Basically goth bio majors. So hey, I want to briefly, who do you think you would be in these various different houses, huh, folks?
Emma, you're the magic expert. We're gonna defer to you to go first.
For sure. This is a little tough for me, so I've gone over these, and those of you who play Magic will see that these map to the guilds. So white, red, Boros. We got Izzet. We got Simic.
These are supposed to be
Orzhov,
different.
And Golgari.
These are supposed to be like different organizations, different identities, right?
Yes. It took me a really long time to memorize the guilds, so I'm very fixated on that representation. But it is important throughout the different sets that are released. The color pairings aren't always the guild. They're used in different ways. And in this one, they are using them in different ways. But I'm like, still holding on to my guilds. They are supposed to be a little different. Usually I would go for a green-blue or a black-green. The Quandrix, putting the math and fractals in there, I'm just like, not... Other people have described me as mathy before, but I haven't quite embraced it. So maybe Quandrix, Witherbloom. I always love a good black-green deck with counters and such, some graveyard stuff. So maybe I would like to be Silver Quill, but I don't think I'm quite cool enough for it. So maybe I'll just be on the fringes, kind of looking and be like, hey, can I hang out with y'all? You're cool.
So you still haven't decided where you're actually going, though?
Undecided college major.
Got it. So we're putting you in Lorehold. Good. I understand then.
No.
That's what you get. If you're boring and can't pick a side, you get stuck in Lorehold.
Well, I'm in Prismari because I actually was part of I was Anime Crew plus theater nerd. So if you want that mashup, that's what I got.
It absolutely checks out. Yes.
Isabella, you and I.
Yeah, it seems like Derek and I would probably be in the same house, probably much to Derek's chagrin, but
rivalry.
I think we would both be in Silver Quill. I mean, like, obviously I'm bringing the sharp style and sharp wit, and Derek is bringing sharp. So
I'm surprised Derek didn't say Witherbloom, to be very honest.
I'm sure I have lots of friends in Witherbloom, but, we have lots of friends everywhere. We'll make sure that both of you have invites to all the Silver Quill parties. Don't worry.
Yay!
So in addition to the Strixhaven stuff, there's also some, like, classic cards that are getting
that are also
new styles, I think.
So for now, there's about 3 different classic card spells that are getting re-released. Demonic Tutor. I'm thinking, it just says OPT.
Yeah,
opt, and Swords to Plowshares. So, hey, looking forward to these updates and sorting through your colleges of Magic. Speaking of which, Magic still has more and more and more details. Emma, release the hose.
So there are 4 new Challenger decks coming to Magic the Gathering in 2021. Challenger decks are an interesting recent product that really taps into the meta of Magic the Gathering, which is cool because in the past they've done dual decks and things that are kind of like they're fine for newer players or for kids or things, but they're not competitive. But the Challenger decks are very much meant to be very close to meta decks, pretty competitive with a few substitutions, even top of the list. Another interesting thing about this release cycle of the Challenger decks is usually they're based on performances in paper tournaments, but since most of the events were suspended in 2020 and 2021, these decks have fed off of the meta in Magic the Gathering Arena, which is interesting for a lot of reasons, because the paper meta is always subtly different from the arena meta, and arena is usually best of 1, where paper is often best of 3. So there's some interesting little details here. But yeah, a lot of decks that I've seen doing very well on the ladder. We've got our Dimir Rogues, love them or hate them, or both. You got your sneaky rogues getting in there. You've got a mechanic that's basically a reskinned version of the ninja mechanic, where if your rogue gets in unblocked, you can swap another card in there. We also have mono red aggro, mono green stompy. I also love that they just use the community words for this, like mono green stompy. That's what we call it, right? So that's what they're calling it, and that's just big creatures getting bigger with the green. And of course, sadly and lastly, is Azorius Control, which is the deck of, hey, you made your deck to do cool stuff. Well, now you're not going to. So meh.
I am amused with your note of having learned all of the guild terms and then seeing them pop up, because none of these decks aren't necessarily built with Ravnica guilds, right?
I mean, the Dimir Rogues.
Yeah, but like, hasn't Ravnica, haven't those cards cycled out of the block basically?
The old Ravnica or the new ones?
Oh, did they just have another set for Ravnica come
out? I think so. Yeah, I'd rather double check on that. But they have they've spoken back to the guilds. They've reapproached the guilds in recent sets, and yeah. I think that they still have a lot of the same themes of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's interesting to me that, you know, kind of to your point of how you are used to using the guilds to describe those colors, that like the guild name is just shorthand or has kind of replaced the blue black. You don't say blue black a lot of times. You might just say Dimir, or like a lot of people might say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I mean when I say the guilds. Like, I use the terms because, yeah, people don't really say blue black. Oh, they kind of should, because Dimir doesn't mean something to newer players. You know, I know instantly what it is because I worked really hard to memorize all that stuff. I have a chart on my fridge. Now it's just all going away. But yeah. The thematics of the color pairings and the color triomes change over time. So it's definitely something that's always in flux.
Maybe you need to make some flashcards to, like, as a Kickstarter, like, here's your magic flashcards to know which means what.
So you know, but it doesn't matter because they're just going to change it on you anyways. And now we just have schools instead. So now you got to remember those.
Oh, well. In any case, there's still a lot of different news coming out, and we just have to see what Magic has in store for us later on. On another area of path, you could say that some people are on the war path, a preview of war to come, Derek.
Sure. War to come, but it's the past of the future, I guess. So Warhammer has another big preview this weekend. But unlike a lot of the other previews they've had, this one is very fantasy focused. There's no 40K, there's no kill team. None of that kind of stuff has been mentioned. It appears to all be around the mortal realms. So Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Underworlds, Warhammer Quest. So expect a bunch of models, probably some reveals, more about some of the Warhammer Quest games that are coming out. But if you're big into the fantasy side of Warhammer, then 9 a.m. Saturday morning, so tomorrow Eastern or 6 a.m. Pacific, there'll be a live stream on Twitch from Games Workshop kind of detailing what they have coming for all those game lines. Ooh. And then the other big Warhammer news is the My Warhammer website is kind of continuing to march forward. Currently, this is what you use to, if you buy a physical codex or something like that, you can enter a code and then unlock that content in the Warhammer 40K app. But they're starting to integrate accounts from gamesworkshop.com and forgeworld.co.uk into that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes to Games Workshop's websites down the road. But for now, you can go to mywarhammer.com, link your account with the other websites that they control, add stuff to your cart. And as long as you do that before 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on February 25th, you might be able to win the contents of your cart as a prize, basically. So if you're a big Warhammer fan, if you've been buying a lot of stuff, make sure you set up your account and link it, and maybe you'll get lucky.
Very, very cool. And now the news that has set Isabella's heart aflame. Isabella, tell us. Tell us.
This is becoming my weekly beat. And I'm actually not complaining about it. This news is very exciting to me. If you watched Bridgerton at all this year, which is one of the very few highlights of the past 12 months, you would know the star of that show, a gorgeous, freakishly handsome man named Regé-Jean Page, and he has recently joined the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. There's no confirmation about what role he's been playing, but he will join Justice Smith, Michelle Rodriguez, and Chris Pine in the new movie. If you haven't seen Bridgerton, which is the horniest historical fan fiction-y romance.
That is a bold claim that it is the horniest, because a lot of those are pretty.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
She stands by her words.
I said what I said. Okay. It is so. It's a very horny show, and I love period dramas. So this was right up my alley. I think I binged watched the entire show in a day. I think it was like 14 hours that I watched the entire thing. And Regé-Jean Page is the lead actor, and he is just, you look at him and it's sort of like a composite where you're like, I know I'm looking at a human man, but like it's created by an AI, so you're not exactly sure what you're looking at. You know what I mean? Where you're like,
no,
he's like, you're looking at something and you're like, I know that I'm looking at a human man, but he's just too perfect. He's just too good looking.
That's
you know what I mean?
about, yeah.
Wait, so are you positing that there's an uncanny valley of hotness?
Yes, I am.
And
I absolutely am. It's him. And then Henry Cavill also on the other side, where I'm just like, obviously created in a lab. It's like watching a Final Fantasy movie.
Yeah, it was like those AI actors, like the AI singers that they create, where they make the face for it, and it's not actually a real person. I mean, it's a real person singing, I guess, but the
Unreal Engine you're talking about, right?
It's
or
like,
no?
It's like it is like watching a composite where you're sort of like you look at it and you're just like, this is CGI. This is a CGI man. This is a robot man. No, it's a real human man. Okay. And I'm very excited. I hope he plays like a prince or like I don't know, like an elf.
A rogue? You don't think a rogue?
Isabella, stop dancing around it. What you want to hear is that he has been cast as Chris Pine's love interest.
No, first of all, don't put me out like this, because this was a group effort between me and Emma. Okay, don't leave Emma out of this discourse.
I just saw a tweet that showed the two of them next to each other, and they positioned it in such a way that, you know, one of them was kind of like this in the one picture, and the other one was like this in the other picture, and their gazes meet. I'm just pointing out what's already there.
You cannot stop the ship, okay? And if the ship is sailed, then the ship has sailed, and the ship is strong. And I'm already firing up the archive of our own accounts because I am ready for the fan fiction that's going to come out of this. So I'm very excited. This D&D news that's coming out, we talked about this earlier, and it kind of felt like, okay, we had some kind of trepidation about this new sort of a thing. There's still, I think, trepidation amongst the crew about what this movie is going to be and what kind of film this is going to be. But this is actually brilliant casting news. Regé Jean Page, he is really hot right now. There's rumors that he was going to be the new Bond. Like it's just the perfect kind of a pick, and he has that sort of classically handsome kind of a look to him. Inhumanly handsome. He's going to look great in a pirate blouse on the deck of a ship, fighting orcs.
Or should he play the barbarian? You want him in the Conan like furry underwear outfit?
If they take his beautiful, gorgeous face and they put it under orc makeup, we riot. I'm going to go to the offices of whoever is making this. I'm gonna cyberbully them. I'll say it.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah. Except for cyberbullying.
Passion.
So yeah, I would be really upset by that. But I hope they have some sexy orcs in this movie, like the World of Warcraft movie.
I can't wait to
I was
find
just
out
going to point out the World of Warcraft movie. They managed to make orcs sexy.
I can't wait to find out that they just replaced him with an entirely CGI character and he's just doing the voice.
I will freak out, Derek. Do not put that into the universe.
That'd be. I think. Oh,
that's so mean.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited. And every single time that there's D&D movie news, I think that I'm going to be covering this for every single shred of information that we get. So buckle up, because we're in it now.
Is there such a thing as a sexy orc? I'm just gonna throw it out there. Garona.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't there also a whole like Twilight-esque series based off of orcs as well? Am I the only one that knows? Okay, never mind. We don't need. Never mind. There's like a whole story about. Never mind. All right. Any case, we're gonna go from this happy news to Derek's sad time corner. Derek, tell us.
I want everyone just to kind of send me some sympathy and kind thoughts, because the L5R LCG is officially ending in May. There'll be one more kind of really big premiere expansion, and then the game is coming to a close. But Fantasy Flight promises that the IP will live on. The RPG is still being developed by Edge Studio. The novels will still be coming out. They promise that there will be other games. So I think they've given me just enough hope so that I can be dashed and disappointed repeatedly over the next several years. But I'm crossing my fingers that we'll see something nice and good come out, because the board game they came out with it for Battle Rokugan is actually really, really good. I really like it a great deal, but they haven't really played around with the world in any other games. I didn't get to play the LCG anywhere near as much as I liked, but it was gorgeous, had fantastic production values. I love hanging out in that world, and I love, having card game gameplay without having to worry about constantly buying new cards. But it seems like the market for that is real hard to navigate. So it is a sad moment for me. And hopefully in a year or so, we'll talk about how the RPG has been revitalized and some new game is coming out. And if you can have high hopes for the D&D movie, then I can have unreasonable hopes for my L5R future. So we're all going to have our delusions that get us through this trying time.
Okay, whatever gets you through the day, Derek. Whatever gets you today. But also, hi Raiders, welcome in. Guess what? Isabella's going to talk about supply and demand. All the supply, all the demand.
Oh shoot, I forgot that I was muted. Yes, so we talked about how this is the 25th anniversary of Pokemans, as my parents affectionately called it throughout my entire childhood. And one of the cool things that's happened is that there seems to be a renewed interest in the Pokemon card game. This, I think, is the result of a lot of different factors. Nonetheless, the 25th anniversary, plus also the fact that we are all in the current Pan Pizza, aka the Pangea, aka the Pandemi, as we call her. And card games have seen a resurgence and have seen more popularity. The bad side of this, though, is that supply is not meeting up with demand. So there have been some issues with the Pokemon organization, the company, with keeping up with the retailers' demand for Pokemon cards. This to me is good. I think it's a good thing. I love the fact that people are getting into Pokemon. I love the fact that people are getting into the card game, because with the rapid succession of the video games, it kind of seemed like the card games was kind of waning in popularity. And now it feels like the card games popularity is coming back up. I think that also we've hit a kind of nexus in nostalgia as well. There are a lot of people who are my age who are going back into Pokemon of their youth, whether that is collecting cards or introducing the game to their kids or introducing the game to younger generations, their nephews, their nieces. And all of this has entered into a resurgence. I'm honestly looking into it myself. I haven't played Pokemon the card game in a really long time, and now I'm looking into starting it all over again. I was a champion, not flexing on anybody, not bragging, but I was a regional champion Pokemon player when
Does that make you one of the trainers that you have to wander around and beat?
Yes, absolutely. I would go I would hang out like in the middle of streets for children to come up to me with my Gengar and beat them mercilessly and humiliate them.
I would like to beat up 10-year-olds.
Yeah, and I retired at the ripe old age of 12 and put down my Pokemon cards for the last time. And I'm looking at kind of picking it back up again. The con of this, though, is that a lot of retailers are out of the games. And my estimation, my guess would be that it is a significant amount of people who are older with disposable incomes that are buying up a lot of the cards, and kids are losing out on that, and they are not being able to have access to the game as readily as a bunch of adults who can go online and buy them and trade and stuff like that. And so, I don't know, this goes along with what we talked about last week, which was that people were buying the limited edition McDonald's cards, and they were having trouble keeping up with demand for that as well. And I see the parallels. That's kind of a generational issue between older people maybe taking things a little bit too ham, maybe being a little bit too aggressive about Pokemons, and it kind of trickling down into the kids missing out on it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys care about Pokemons?
Yeah, I do, of course. I just want there to be like the phone version where we could actually Pokemon battle. That's why I was like, Pokemon Go. I'm like, we got VR. It's going to be Digimon plus Pokemon fused together in this ultimate, like, I was ready to be outside with my smartphone and like fight and yelling at my phone to like battle. And we could see a live battle going on. That's what I want. I want to actually have a virtual battle.
It'll happen. I want that for you too.
In augmented reality, please.
I want that for you.
It's exactly the same thing that happened to Magic. I mean, you all probably don't remember it, might not realize it, but Magic was the same way. Magic was a kid's game. Like, Magic started out as a game targeted towards kids and young teens. And now it's very much a game for adults. And with the just level of complexity and the expense of getting into it, I'm sure, I know there are kids that play it. I've taught kids at mocks before to play the game, but it's kind of like, there's a lot going on there. And I know with Pokemon, the physical game as well, there has been added complexity. You know, I think that it started out a lot simpler. And then as more people got more interested, they wanted more and more, and they had to keep adding stuff to keep people interested and engaged.
I am really surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah, the cards and the art still very much appeals to kids, and I think that they should make more so everyone can enjoy it.
I am really surprised that they haven't used the Pokemon IP on a lot more like quote unquote modern board games, I think. I really would have expected that with the popularity of Pokemon and the way that Pokemon has so many different appearances in video games, that they would have kind of extended some of that same approach to board games and, released a couple board games that will hit the nostalgia and gameplay desires for 30 something folks, to give them something to collect that's maybe a little more expensive, but gets most of what they want and plays like they expect now. Maybe they're still going to do that.
The IP is a little weird because they have the Pokemon Company, and for doing they have the physical one and the video game ones, it's like separate ones. And so card game, video game, where exactly the board game IP, who has that? I could see being a little complicated.
Yeah, and like the Nintendo company and the Pokemon company, which they're separate companies, they're notoriously very stingy with what they put allowed to be put into Pokemon. The idea that we even got Pokemon Go was such a big deal because of the fact that they let another company have the Pokemon IP, and they're very notoriously very with how stingy a lot of Japanese companies are with their IP. But at the same time, I can kind of understand that there's a very specific kind of setup for that whole thing. The good news is that the distributors have taken note about the lack of supply that they have. They have not given any specifics though about when they'll be releasing new stuff, but they do know that they'll be releasing new cards and that they're trying to meet up with this demand. We'll see how long this lasts. We'll see if it lasts outside of the pan pizza. I had a really funny one that I thought of the other day, and I can't remember it. And we'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how long this kind of fever lasts, if it lasts outside of the 25th anniversary. But my guess is that Pokemon is back, baby. Get into it. Buy some stocks in Pokemon, like GameStop.
And also some of those restaurants and Poke Centers from Japan, please come over here so we can have Pokemon everything and themed restaurants. And also maybe Burger King, bring back your gold-plated Pokemon card.
Yes. And the Pokemon burgers. Yes.
And anywho, Emma, tell us about what gaming awards have opened up themselves to the public today.
South by Southwest public voting is open for gaming, which includes board games. And I want to shout this out because there's a lot of well-known names on this list. You can click on the link. You can vote for those first and best, maybe. Awesome. Not telling you who to vote for, but Calico by Flat Out Games, who are local designers to Seattle. I'm just so impressed. These people, I've known them for years. They're in my design groups. We've just very good friends. They've just done amazing stuff. It's just a very small, scrappy team to get their games on such a national stage, to be in the South by Southwest voting for best games. It blows my mind. So awesome. Of course, Fort by Letter Games, a follow-up to all the awesome games they've been putting out, Root, so on and so forth. Oceans by North Star Games, The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. Honestly gonna say this might be the winner of the voting. I haven't gotten to play it yet, which I'm mad because I've heard amazing things about it. I think it would be very much up my alley, but cooperative game that it's apparently got a lot of stuff going for it. And then The Search for Planet X are the ones they have up there. So click on the link, check those out, vote.
I was very amused that it's both Plan 9 and Plan X/10 are in that list.
Yeah.
That's going to be confusing.
Planet 9, Planet X, Planet 10. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. All right. But now, hey, guess what? It's Zine Quest. Time for Zine Quest. Derek, go ahead.
All right. So these are just all the zines that are running up on Kickstarter right now that excited us for one reason or another. Lots of really fun, interesting little niche things. The first one that I wanted to talk about was Dying Hard on Hard Light Station. And it's got 4 days left. Ends on Tuesday, February 23rd. It's a mothership adventure that bills itself as Die Hard meets Alien. And like, I don't know how you resist a pitch like that, to be honest. But then further, it comes with like some factions, some locations. It seems like it has just about everything that you need to run it. There's a stretch goal for digital assets to run online or run on a virtual tabletop or something like that. And I'm a sucker for any kind of like focused adventure idea that seems like it'll be a really good way to just kind of get a one shot or just put it on the table and get the game played and see how it goes, and then bring it to cons and keep doing it. So that has 4 days left, dying hard on Hard Light Station.
All right. With, I believe, 67 hours left to go. Very Good Dogs of Chernobyl RPG Zine. You ever wanted to play in an alternate universe where Chernobyl happened and it actually opened another dimension to another universe that completely eradicated the human species, so you only have dogs left over, and some of those dogs might be psychic? Well, this is the zine for you. It is a powered by polymorph type of game, so that whatever character you choose, base is the only die you would ever roll. So like what breed you choose and what kind of generational dog you are, as you go ahead and form your pack of other surviving dogs in this apocalyptic Chernobyl. And you just try to survive. And it's, if you like dogs that are psychic, that also have to fight unworldly beings, this is the game for you. Very Good Dogs of Chernobyl, with 67 hours left. So that's like 2 days, 3 days,
something like
2.5 days,
a little less than 3.
Yeah, a little less than 3.
So another one that was really up my alley is What We Give to Alien Gods. It has 10 days left, ending on Monday, March 1st. You explore ancient ruins and decipher alien language and question your existence. It's another mothership module. It just looks gorgeous. And again, we've talked about it before. I am a sucker for spooky alien sci-fi megastructures. So, you're exploring some sort of weird ancient temple to a forgotten god of an unknown alien. Like, come on. Absolutely. I am there for that as a zine.
And I think that I'm next. With 3 days left, I've got Knights of the House of Mars. I really liked it because of its sort of 70s psychedelic cover art. It reminded me a lot of Dune. It reminds me a lot of kind of John Carter of Mars-ish kind of a vibe to it. And this is a desert crawl where you are on Mars and you're trying to battle a bunch of evil wizards. It also takes a lot of its influence from point-and-click games, if you are of a certain age and you remember point-and-click games. So yeah, this one is for 2 to 4 players, and it looks really, really cool. So Knights of the House of Mars with 3 days left.
So with 5 days left, the next project is Noctis Labyrinth. And this is not a weird sci-fi bizarro hellscape that's up my alley. It's the other thing that I love, which is there's like one last remaining city in a huge, vast desert, and it's ruled over by a cruel tyrant. And maybe you go adventure or something in the scraps around the fringes of society. It basically sounds like it's Dark Sun Light, and it runs off of World of Dungeons, which is a very slick, very minimalist, powered by the apocalypse, fantasy adventure D&D-esque kind of experience. In particular, what I really liked is the zine is going to present itself in 3 different tiers of play almost. They have a resource for a quick start. Are you going to start a long campaign and just need a jump start of an idea? Here's some resources for that. Do you want to run it as a one-shot? Here's resources for that. Do you just want a dungeon that you can just throw and people can crawl through whenever you need to? Here's that. So it looks great. It kind of tickles a lot of the things that I love, and it sounds great. So it's got 5 days left. Check that one out.
All right, with 3 days left, Mimic Madness. So hey, yeah, you don't like being a hero? Don't worry, be a mimic. So the whole idea of this is another polymorph system. So whatever your mimic happens to be is what you will roll. And your whole idea is that it's supposed to be you play as greedy little mimics trying to obtain treasure for Mother Chaos. And so it's a whole battle where the system is you're supposed to eat prey, steal shiny things, and never fight face to face. So it has a lot of things of just like if you wanted to go ahead and be a total like creep around a dungeon while stealing treasure, this is the game for you. This game is supposed to be sneaky and meant to be a little bit like more crazy and fun and silly. So hey, let's not be a hero, let's be a mimic. Mimic Madness with 3 days left.
With 9 days left is Visa Visage, I believe is how you would say it. Or Visa Visage?
Visa Visage.
Sure.
Visa.
The judges will accept all of those, full points awarded. But this is described as, you ready? A 2-player competitive face-swapping tabletop RPG. And it is straight up face off the RPG, where somehow you and your opponent have had your faces swapped and you've taken over each other's lives, and now you want to murder each other. So sure. And apparently it has some setup where you make your character and you outline what the connections they have in their life and what resources they have and what abilities they have. And then that's effectively the character you give to your opponent while they try to hunt you down and kill you so they can steal your life. It sounds ridiculous. And if Nick Cage ever wants to sit down and play it with me or John Travolta, I would be happy to go through this experience with them. It just sounds like madness. And it has 9 days left.
The one that I picked next is called Tezuka Sentai. If you are a big fan of the Power Rangers or Ultraman or any of those things, then you know about Sentai Warriors, which comes from Japan. And what it means is basically fully covered action TV shows and things like that. There's a whole culture of that in Japan. Well, this mixes that together with the Aztec culture of indigenous Mexico. In this really great combination that reminds me a lot of like how much Sentai reminds me a lot of luchadore athletes as well. And so this zine is basically where if you've watched Power Rangers, you know what's going to happen. You are part of a group of warriors who has to battle up against an evil overlord. And you're all color-coded, which is how it works. Those are the rules. So I've got Tezuka Sentai, a Mexican Power Rangers zine RPG with 4 days left. Please check it out.
So with 9 days left, ending on Sunday, February 28th, we have Echoes of Chaos, a time travel RPG, which, you know, you think, oh, it's a time travel RPG, whatever, it's fine, we'll hop through time, we'll kill Hitler, that kind of stuff. But no, the tagline for this game is loot the past, destroy the future. So this is the game in which you play the selfish idiots who decide to go back in time, steal the stuff they want, and then you get to see what kind of horrible havoc they have wreaked upon the present and the future. I mean, I'm a sucker for disaster time travel. So that it called out to me and spoke to me. And you have 9 days left to see if it speaks to you.
With, oh my goodness. Sorry, we're going so fast. With 6 days left, I have A Loud Noise in a Quiet Place, which is a role-playing game that is about temporary hearing loss. Fun fact about me, I have temporary hearing loss in one of my ears. It goes in and it's out. And the creator of this RPG also struggles with temporary hearing loss as well. And so he made a game that was about how that affects the relationships between friends and family, and also the world around you. So it's a game that's played, it's very a quiet sort of game, that an intimate game that can be played with two players, where one player is the person who is affected by temporary hearing loss, and the other person who plays the sort of elements of the world around them, and they use a dice in order to resolve their issues. I think that this is a really incredible original setup that I've heard for an RPG, in which it kind of places everybody on the same sort of understanding of how losing your hearing or having hearing issues goes in and out for you. So I think this is really cool. This is called A Loud Noise in a Quiet Place, and it has 6 days left to go.
Great. With 10 days left is Not a Place of Honor, which one caught my attention because it has a very evocative, almost poetic title. But then I realized that it was taking like a real world long-term problem that I've always been fascinated about, which is if you have to like store dangerous waste, particularly nuclear waste, that's going to be a problem long after civilization has collapsed. How do you make it clear that people should not enter this building and there is not treasure here and we're serious, you're gonna die? But take that idea and apply it to magic items. Like, they basically say, what if you had the one ring and you didn't have a Mountain Doom to melt it in? How do you store it to make sure it doesn't get out anywhere? So they just take that idea, and it seems like perfect for how to theme a dungeon into something that kind of makes sense and is a little creepy and unique. And one of the pictures, I'm pretty sure, suggests that there's a vampire staked. So that gets points too, but seems really neat. I always like it when you apply kind of current concerns to a fantasy element and see what comes out of it. And the fact that it also spawns a rationale for dungeons sounds great. So Not a Place of Honor, 10 days left.
Last but not least, I'm going to preface this by saying all of this ways I'm describing this is in the Kickstarter campaign. This is not my personal opinion. This is Denial and Yearning, a trashy lesbian romance novel game with 9 days left, ending Sunday, February 28th. A storytelling game for two about love, lesbians, and literature. It's complete trash. That's why you'll adore it. Again, this is self-described by the creators, so they're really leaning into the trashiness of this game. So in this game, you're going to make up an author. You're then going to make up the author's trashy lesbian romance novel. So you have 1 degree of inceptionism, and then you're going to make up the characters in the trashy romance novel, and you're going to act it out at each one of those levels. And the reason I'm sharing this one is because this is just the reason that I love Zine Quest. I don't even want to say like the weirdest things, because a lot of the things I pick aren't necessarily weird. It's just like, how can you really stretch role-playing and game design to just cover topics that are so evocative and niche, and using mechanics to capture these really cool experiences that haven't really been explored before? And this is a new one for me. So I think it's really cool, and I think you should check it out. It's got 9 days left.
All right, folks, that was our Zine Quest of this week. Don't worry, we still got 2 more weeks of Zine Quest that you can get into. These are just things that we suggest, but yeah, go ahead, find some zines that you would like, and share it. Also, guess what? It's bundles with Derek.
So there are 3 bundles this week. The first one I think is particularly noteworthy because it's the first time that I have seen a major hobby publisher really promote and push the idea of 3D printing. So Modifius has a pretty huge bundle on Humble Bundle for the RPG and the kind of miniatures combat game. It's the Fallout RPG and 3D miniatures bundle. You can get the rules in PDF. You can get the STL files to print a bunch of the units and a lot of the terrain. It's $301 worth of product. For the top tier is $18. And it all benefits the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Now, of note, Modifius has been making 3D printer files available for a little while. They apparently have it, up for direct sale, but they've also been doing partnerships with retail stores to help referrals basically get some revenue back to retail. So it's really interesting to see what they're doing to experiment now before 3D printing really becomes fully mainstream. So they can position themselves in a good spot when that happens. It's really curious to see what happens. And if you have a 3D printer or you've been thinking of picking one up and want to experiment with the Fallout universe, then you're going to find a lot of what you need here. Bundle of Holding has 2 bundles. First, there's an old school cool bundle, which is basically it's a collection of newer games that use newer mechanics or newer presentation methods, newer styles, but with an old school philosophy or aesthetic or intent. So, for example, the starter collection at $8 gets you 4 different games. One of them is Vagabonds of Dyfed, and that was on Kickstarter. And it's a very it's a very old school OSR game, hex crawl kind of thing. But it uses the Powered by the Apocalypse system, which is usually a very story focused kind of narrative game. So there's an interesting marriage there. And the level up at just under $20 has 4 more games / expansions for some of these games. So if you like old school intent or philosophy, but you want to try some newer mechanics, there's going to be a lot here that you can kind of dig into and see what might suit your style. And then apparently it is the 8th birthday of Bundle of Holding. So to celebrate it, they have a very short, I believe, 3-day only bundle. That's their bundle birthday 2021. And the trick is it's a bundle of free games that they're asking you to pay for anyway. So these games are all games that are available online for free already. There's a tier for $1 and there's a tier for $2. And the money will benefit the role-playing game creators relief fund. So if you want to celebrate Bundle of Holding, if you want to help some creators, you want to say thank you, put in a couple bucks. You got a few days.
All right. Very, very cool. So that was our bundles, folks, but also the most favorite time that you all enjoy. It's Kickstarter Queen Midterrace.
I like Isabella vibing in the background of that one.
Such a pretty noise.
So a lot of our attention on Kickstarter right now is focused on zines, and they're very exciting. But there's also plenty of normal, quote unquote, games up on Kickstarter this week. The first one that caught my eye is DEF CON 1, and it's because it is an asymmetrical nuclear war game. Like anytime that you tell me that there is significant asymmetry between factions, and then when you tell me that depending on how many players you'll have different alliances, or you might even have secret agendas hidden among those alliances, my attention perks right up. And this is from the publishers of Fife and Mare Nostrum, which are also both very well received games. So if you like the kind of Cold War or marching tensions from World War II onward, and you like different factions that should play very, very differently, lots of components. It's a resource management, territory control kind of game, with lots of cards, tokens, pieces. There's a million different tracks to go up and down on across the board. So if that all sounds appealing to you, you have 4 days to go check out DEF CON 1 and see if it's up your alley. Then the next game is much simpler. It has 5 days left. It's Mob Big Apple. And actually, I think if you just go to the Kickstarter page, there's a lady who has Board Games in a Minute. She does a lot of stuff on TikTok and Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that. And she runs through the whole game in a minute. It's basically a dice-driven, pretty simplistic area control game with a little bit of hidden information. And I think she gives a really good sense of how it plays. It seems like it's a pretty solid, simple game, but with really nice components, really cute, well-modeled meeples, some nice victory point, basically, some poker chips that you put down for that hidden information. So if you like any of that kind of stuff, if you like that style of game or you like that theme, it's going to be worth checking out. And then with 5 days left as well is a little weirdly phrased Human Punishment: The Beginning, the board game, basically. This is very much the capital KBG Kickstarter board game of the week. There's no minis, but there are so many cards, so many chits, so many upgrades, so many player boards that you slot things into. But overall, the game appears to be social deduction, but with all of the components and extra bells and whistles dialed up to 11. It's in some weird cyberpunk dystopia where you theoretically are all playing humans who are trying to rebel against this and insert code into the mainframe, and you can travel around the board and do a lot of different things to try to get upgrades to help you through that process. But at the core of it, there's still the Secret Hitler or Resistance or Avalon mechanic, where all the players are voting on what they want, how they want to resolve an event or a task, basically. But there's potentially 4 factions, depending on how many people are playing, not just 2. And yeah, it's got pretty art, a million components. If you liked social deduction, but maybe felt like it wasn't capital G, I'm a gamer board gamey enough for you, then, I kept being intrigued by a lot of the components here. So check it out. You got 5 days left.
So next up, we have Cryptid Cafe, which has 6 days left. This is a really cute game. They had me at Cryptid Cafe, where basically you play a restaurateur who is working for the head chef, which is the Kraken. And you have a bunch of cryptids from all over the world that come into your restaurant, and you got to feed them. You got to hurry up and feed them as fast as you can, or else they're going to leave you no tip. And they're going to leave nasty reviews on Yelp, and you don't want that. And basically you have to hurry up and get everybody seated, get everybody food, and then you have a whole bunch of things that can go wrong. Maybe you're out of brains this week, or maybe, something happens where like the food's not coming out fast enough. These kinds of games are super, super cute. And I know that we've seen these kinds of games many times before, but I absolutely love the fact that this game features cryptids from not only the West, but also from all over the place. And this is kind of a cute game to introduce your kids to the myriad world of mysterious cryptid monsters from all over the place, and also introduce them to the horrors of capitalism. So with 6 days left, this is Cryptid Cafe.
All right, with 7 days left, Friday, February 26th, this is a 3-game combo from Japanese publishers, Oink Games. So the 3 games that you get are all 2 to 5 player games. So the first game I'm going to go ahead and talk about in this mega bundle of 3 games, is called Moon Adventure, based off of their previous deep sea adventure. The whole idea is that your astronauts landed on a moon trying to survive with depleted oxygen while there's an electromagnetic storm coming through. You use your oxygen as exchange for action points, so you could retrieve emergency supplies. Each person of the group takes on a different role in the group. And then, a free expansion is also planned for this Kickstarter. Will introduce roles based off of a famous manga, but they don't actually say what manga it is. So it's all about what is it, that Mars movie, The Martian, except that you're a multiplayer and you have to try to live. The second game in this pack is Doko Jong. It's a short 2 to 5 player game about bluffing and deception. So you hide your pug. So you get a little pug, right? The whole idea is that you put a pug behind a door, and you have to you have 5 doors, and you have to see and convince the players not to open the door that has your pug in it. So the whole idea is that you got to be secret and hide your dog. So how you get the points is basically when you attempt to open somebody's door, they have a chance to open your door. And if you win if the person cannot find your dog within 3 opens of the door, versus if they do find your dog, you lose points. So hide your dog, hide your kids, hide your dogs. Tell people your dog doesn't. It's like renting apartment without having paid the pet price, and you have to hide your dog. This is the game. In the Grove is the last game of this 3 combo pack. The rules aren't actually very explained very well, but the whole idea is that you're bumbling detectives trying to solve a murder. So somebody got murdered, and you're like, I don't know how this works. Do you know what was the weapon? So it's kind of you're trying to just piece together who killed what and how this person got killed. It's a strategic decision-making game. So if any of those games appeal to you, this is a 3-for-1. So not only are you getting the one game, you're getting the 2 other games along with it. So yeah. We'll buy Oink Games, Moon Adventure, Dokugan, and In the Groove.
So rounding it up with 7 days left, I have Badland Wolves. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a complete simp for werewolves. And this is a game where you play not a werewolf, but you're still a sentient wolf. You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, in this game, you are trying to, so the alpha has died and you're trying to replace the alpha. And you have a team of people that are with you and you're trying to win their loyalty. And whoever can win the loyalty of the pack will then be named the alpha. And you can do that by different kinds of stuff, strength, but then also hunting, food. You can do different kinds of things in order to get the loyalty of the pack so that you can be crowned the alpha of the pack. This art is really cool. I really like the idea of, I don't know, being a big wolf. I don't know why that makes me so happy. So this is Badland Wolves with 7 days left, ending on Friday, February 26th.
Alrighty, folks. That was TableTakes, but hey, wait, actually, no, it's not, because boom, 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 surprise encounter. We, right after this, we're going to go on a 5-minute break or 15-minute break. 5-minute break. And we are going to have a secret guest, not so secret, Double Exposure and Envoy coming in to tell us about what they're doing and what they're up to. And also right after that, as you wish, it's going to be at 4 p.m. Princess Bride stream. So, ooh, nice and exciting thing. So hold on tight, sit tight, get some popcorn, drink some milk. I don't know why, but yeah, just wait 5 minutes. You're going to get some sweet interviews done. But yes, see you guys in 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking around after the break. We are joined by Vincent and Avonelle from Double Exposure. They are folks that I've worked with a great deal in the past on a variety of events. So why don't we start off with the two of you introducing yourselves, talking a little bit about what Double Exposure does, and then we can get into the specific program that you wanted to talk about today. Okay. So which one of you wants to give some context on like what Double Exposure is and what you have done, over the past several years?
I'll take that. Double Exposure at its core runs gaming conventions. So we run DexCon, Dreamation, and Metatopia. Metatopia is our game design festival. And because we've run conventions on the East Coast for 25 years now, we've got a very broad, very deep community that when we launched Metatopia gave us the opportunity to springboard into working with Gen Con and having a couple of other partnerships. And out of our experiences, actually specifically at Gen Con, we developed a Envoy, which is our program for supporting publishers and across building bridges between publishers, retailers, distributors, sort of taking the place of creating an organization that opened up communication in a way that didn't exist at the time. And we also run street teams for our publishers. So we help coordinate game masters. We give people access to copies of games and rewards for showing up and showing games off in their local communities.
And so they show off games like this program is to get games demoed at stores, to get them demoed at conventions. Like what is the, what's the smallest kind of component of this all the way up to maybe the largest component that you've done?
Well, we basically let the heralds be completely autonomous. So if they want to go teach at a meetup group, they do so on their own schedules. They do so, basically the way they want to. They put as much time into it as they'd like. So, we have no specific structure for them. in that sense. So the core of the program is just, hey, you like that game? Great. Go show it off. You'll get credit for it, and you'll introduce some new people to the game.
So the heralds are basically just, board gamers and fans who really love a game or really love a company and want to kind of share that out, teach people so that new people can either discover board gaming in general or those games in particular, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
hopefully more than one company. We actually have over 70 publishers as part of Envoy, and the heralds have access to all of them. And it's not just we give them a game and let them go free. They actually come back to us and certify on the game in a video conference to show us that they know how to teach the game. Our companies trust us to, make sure that if a game is going to go on the table, it's going to be the way the company wants.
That's what I was going to ask next, is if somebody loves board games and they want to share them with people, how do they become a herald?
They visit the website. There's a form. You just fill it out. We reach out to you and we send you some documentation that explains the program, which at a very high level is you show off games and you get credit in the program, but you have to interact with a calendar and tell us that you've done it. And then there's a video conference where we talk about things like the fact that we don't mandate that you wear the t-shirt. We don't tell you where to go. You get to set your schedule. You get to decide which publishers you engage with. We give an opportunity to ask questions, and then we add you to the program. It's really that straightforward.
So it sounds very self-directed in what the heralds are going to do.
We all know gamers. If we actually tried to tell them exactly how we wanted them to do it, nobody would read it, and they'd be mad at us for things that we never said. So it's much easier to be a little more freeform than that.
Sure.
By extension, we also help out all of our companies get their booths staffed and match up heralds with companies wherein they go to conventions around the country. So that they always have people ready to demo, and we coordinate all of that and their hotel rooms and their badges and schedules and all of that stuff. So we're on top of all of the major conventions and a lot of the small ones.
So if somebody was interested in getting involved with helping to staff an event or a booth at a convention, Envoy is also another way they could get involved with that.
Yes, we're not a staffing agency. We don't just freeform do it, but it's a courtesy to our publishers that we will certify people and make sure that when they enter that booth, they know the games already, so the companies don't waste time introducing people when they get there.
So you also mentioned that they get credit for running these.
Mm-hmm.
What does that end up adding up to?
So we start by sending them a game. We trust them. They want a game, they want 2 games, they want 3 games. There's a limit, but to start out in the Envoy program, you get these games, you learn them, you certify on them, and then each game is priced, quote unquote, at a certain level. So you owe a certain number of appearances to the company. And you're completely autonomous with that. You can do it where you want, but you put them on your calendar, we give you credit for them.
So I don't necessarily need to know the game before I sign up for Envoy as
Correct.
a herald and get sent it. Okay.
Correct. And you may have some on your shelf. At that point, go ahead, just do that. And even if you don't owe the game company anything, you'll still get points for this. And we have freebies and we have experience. And the more appearances you do, the more we trust you, the more we go to you for things like play tests and Kickstarter opinions and all sorts of things that happen through Envoy.
It's also a very low risk circumstance. If you request a game and you get it to the table and your entire community says this isn't for us, or you open up the rule book and you say, this isn't what I thought it was. I thought this was a hidden information game and it's a bluffing game and I'm just not into it. You reach out to me. And we never want anyone to be uncomfortable or unhappy. So we figure it out. You ship it on to the next herald. You give it to your game store as a demo copy. You put it on Play to Win at a local convention table. We figure it out.
We figured out a long time ago that while getting free games is great, most of our heralds are there because they want the feeling of belonging. They want to be on the inside. They want to feel like they're part of the companies, and we give them all of that magic.
Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of people who get into game demos to strike it rich and become millionaires. They usually get in because they love a game or they love getting people in and playing games.
Yes.
So, what kind of games are covered by Envoy? Is it just board games or card games, or how wide does that net get cast?
from the getting things on the table kind of question, card games, board games, war games, party games, anything that's got a physical component with a GM. We have all sorts of companies from the largest to the smallest in there. We would like to say that we are as powerful in role-playing games, but for whatever reason, role-playing games never quite became a big part of Envoy. We do have some role-playing games in there, but mostly it's going to be tabletop board games, card games, etc.
Great.
Well, the strength of the program is that we incentivize people to take a Envoy game with them to game night. Mm-hmm. And so our strength is things that people can either pull off the shelf and put on the table or toss in their bag and take with them.
Okay. Well, we've talked about conventions. We've talked about game night. We've talked about in-game demos at game stores. We've talked about a variety of things that are largely not happening in large volume right now due to what many have dubbed a global panini. So how has this whole program adapted to dealing with people in quarantine when you can't just go throw something on the table at game night and you have to kind of coordinate your friends and figure out another way to pull this off?
Well, as we entered the March-April timeframe last year, we were panic city, of course, just like most companies were about what was going on. And so for a few months, we really did not have a clear direction other than seeing what was going to happen for the rest of the year, et cetera. But then we got inspired by Gen Con. We put all of our energy into getting our GMs ready for Gen Con, getting companies to put electronic versions of their games onto Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator and other platforms. And we managed to run, some 300 events on the Gen Con schedule doing that. And we were so inspired by doing that. We said, why can't we do this all the time? And so Avi and I put our heads together and came up with an idea called the Envoy Gateway. And basically it was a launching platform for games for any given platform where our heralds would schedule events and people can go learn them straight from a herald. Now,
just a quick moment. Yeah. When you say your herald schedule events, just to clarify, like that's still the herald deciding that they want to run this game at this date on this platform where it's available. So it's not you trying to necessarily coordinate people around something in particular.
Correct. We will do that when it comes to a convention. Mm-hmm. But even then the heralds have autonomy and when they're doing things at a convention. But yes, the Gateway is a free-form platform that allows them to schedule anything they want, within Envoy, and they'll get the full credit for it just like they were doing it live. And people ask us, well, what does the Gateway have that other online launching sections such as just straight Discord might have? And the answer is our calendar. It is a magnificent calendar that allows people to schedule games, get RSVPs to those games. And so the GMs can then decide, okay, well, this is a 4-player game. Do I need a second table? Things along those lines, but it's an ongoing RSVP situation.
Does it cost anything to play in those games?
No. Nothing beyond what the platforms cost. So if the platform has a fee, you have to engage with the platform. The other benefit to the Gateway, though, is that unlike popping on to see what's running at Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, going into a lobby and being like, what's being run, that there's a game master leading this. So in the same way that showing up to an event on a schedule at a convention means that there's an adult who has, at least in theory, read the rule book, you get the benefit of having somebody that already knows the rules and also knows the platform and can talk you through that, or can be like, you're struggling with that, let me move that meeple for you.
It's completely free for both.
Yeah, what I would say is, like, as somebody who has spent 10, 15 years after their eyeballs in events scheduled for various Gen Cons over the year, I am fully in the camp of how useful and important it is to actually have a schedule of events that you can count on and explore and figure out what you want to do when, as opposed to, popping into a Discord and just being like, what's up? Who's doing a thing? It's a very different kind of experience.
The Gateway and all of its events are completely open to the public. In other words, anybody can go in and look. If you're interested in RSVPing to an event, we just need a screen name and your email address. And that's, basically the entire commitment to be a member of the Gateway. But you'll have a wealth of information there, including special events, things run directly by the game companies as well as the heralds, and just about anything you can think of that we're going to throw into it.
Are all of the events on the Gateway like learn to play events? Like, we will teach everyone.
There is always a game master or always a herald there to teach the game. And a lot of times they'll be sitting there waiting. And even if you don't RSVP, the link will be available, in public, so that you can go there and either spectate or get into a game at the last minute.
Great. Well, we've talked about heralds. We talked about players a little bit. But what about like the third kind of, leg of that platform, which is publishers? So, how does Envoy connect with publishers, and what does it provide to them?
Biggest thing that publishers have is a launching platform all their own. So there are over 50 publisher areas on the Gateway. They can post their own information. Everybody's got a link on where do you buy the games. And any event that is scheduled on the Gateway can then be cross-posted somewhere else, Facebook or wherever you want to post it. And you get a beautiful bound box, showing the event with the graphic components, the artwork, etc., and people can go straight there to get the link. And so our publishers use it as a launching pad for their anything that they want to do in the social media universe.
And if a company wants to get involved in that, or if they want your help getting their games adapted to a digital platform, they should reach out to the Envoy at dexposure.com address that we posted.
Absolutely.
We've got a team of heralds who actually are programming things for the major platforms right now, and we're helping all of our publishers adapt for, who knows how much longer.
Right. And any publisher that is feeling a little lost and a little unsure of where to put their feet right now because things have been turned so upside down, it's our job to spend pretty much all day, every day talking to distributors, retailers, manufacturers, gamers, and really to have a sense of which way the wind is blowing today. Conventions, people who are like, I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the year. We actually can talk that through and help you do the pros and cons and that sort of calculation. That's hard to do in a vacuum, but a lot of people are in vacuums in so many ways.
We have our fingers all over the place. So when it comes to conventions, we've talked through what the dangers are of having a physical convention, what the benefits are of having the virtual convention, anything that we can do. And we'll talk to our company seriously about whether or not something should be supported, and they'll generally take our advice.
What about retailers? Do any retailers kind of coordinate directly with you to get demos in their spaces, or? That's
actually our next phase. We figured it was not exactly useful to do this right now, but the Gateway will persist after, we're through this time, and we have an entire section devoted to stores, and they can have their own areas with their own calendars. And one of the most interesting things about a calendar on the Gateway is that it's permanent, as opposed to, for example, a Facebook presence, which all seems to be what's happening tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So, actually having a standard calendar and the ability to RSVP to events is a real boon to the stores. And we expect, we have personal relationships with hundreds of stores around the country. Hopefully, a lot of them will still exist later this year, but we hope to have them all come on.
Any retailer that hears us and says, oh, I'd really like to be posting these learn to play events that I'm doing, like, we welcome you. I will get you set up if you need help getting your events posted. If you're like, hey, this sounds like a cool way to reach people at a broader geographic distance, since right now it's all about shipping and it's all about those far away connections. I'm happy to help any retailer that's excited by that idea find their footing. And if they need help figuring out how to build that program, I can absolutely be an ear for them for how do they create those resources, how do they clear that mental space, and how do they use online games and online game sessions to sell physical copies of games, because I think that is absolutely a thing that is happening.
And ultimately, would Envoy be a way that if a retailer wanted more demo presence in their store but didn't have the staff to do it, is like
always
Okay.
Yep.
What we do in the before times and in the time after, what we do is we work with the store either to identify a super user, to work with them to certify staff members, right? In some cases, it's the proprietor. When it's a tiny outfit, it's actually, we work with the owner directly, make sure they get certified, make sure they get all the resources that any herald would get, but very much more concentrated because they're filtering through a lot more games in any given week. But we also can do outreach and say, okay, you're in this city, in this state, who's nearby? Who can we connect you with? And so we take a multi-pronged approach. Is there somebody already in the community that's doing this who should be getting credit for what they're doing? We'll make sure that they get the credit and get loved on by people who understand how hard they're working. Is there somebody within the ecosystem as a staffer that is going to be demoing games after an 8-hour shift anyway? Let's get them copies of the games and let's get them some love too. Or is it that you're doing it yourself and getting you involved in some of our retail promotions like our splashes and our month-long promotions means that you've got support from the ground up for directly from the publishers.
Great. Well, I think we are just about out of time. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure people know about the Envoy program you've been running?
I think the most important thing to understand about Envoy, at least from the publisher perspective, is that we're not just, doing something for the publishers. We're becoming a part of their team one way or the other and helping them through each step of this. The amount of counseling we've had to do through COVID is just amazing. And we're very much looking forward to getting people prepared to go back into, the reality of our industry and, what's going to happen in the future, how many people you can put in a hotel room in the future.
What are economists saying this week about what Q1 next year looks like, and how does that affect how you should be buying or manufacturing or planning your shipping?
Mm-hmm.
All of those are things we keep an eye on.
So we have lots of conversations. We're a wealth of information, and we love talking to companies.
Great. Well, I mean, the last thing that I want to say is I cannot believe that First Exposure Playtest Hall apparently started all the way back in 2012.
2012.
You putting that date in the notes makes me feel older. We should do something. I don't know. We should do something special if next year is going to be the 10th anniversary. We got to do something special.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
All right. Well, Vincent, Avonelle, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Anybody who's looking to play a lot more games online, promote games online, kind of get involved in the demo aspect of the industry, please go check out the Envoy program and connect with them. Thank you again to everyone for watching. Thanks for sticking around during that brief break while we transitioned. There will be another brief break while you want to stick through, because at 4 p.m. Pacific, so in a little over 20 minutes, we'll be on our stream playing Princess Bride, the board game. So I'm very excited because we've been wanting to work with Ruel for a while. Princess Bride is always a lot of fun, and Ravensburger was gracious enough to work with us to set something up. So please stick around or come back at 4 p.m. Pacific to check that out and let us know what you think of it. There are also plenty of other shows we have during the week. On Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have Board Games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesday at 1:30 p.m., we have This Game Gets Dicey. And on Fridays at 2 p.m., we have, of course, TableTakes, which I assume all of you were here to watch and enjoy this afternoon. Thank you again. Be well, stay safe. And if we all wear masks and stay home and get the vaccine, then hopefully soon we will be back in stores playing games and shouting at each other in person.